Good morning, students. Welcome to this e-class. In this class, we would have a critical estimate of Girish Karnad's famous play, Tughlaq. In my earlier lecture series, I have discussed scene 1 to scene 13 of Tughlaq. In this play, we would try to sum up the play and have a critical estimate of the play. Tughlaq, which was published in 1964 in Kannada, is Girish Karnad's second play. It was translated into English by Girish Karnad himself. So it was first produced in Kannada in 1965, and same time it was done in Hindi by National School of Drama. Bengali and Marathi productions, they also followed, and this play, it was an immediate success. Tughlaq, it is a historical play dealing with the last 5 years of the troubled reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Means the contradictions in the character, in the personality of Tughlaq, being an idealist to an intriguer and to a cruel contriver, the play wonderfully brings out Tughlaq's personality. If we take up the title of the play, Tughlaq is a very apt and it is a very suitable title, and it's also a very suggestive title also, because Tughlaq is the central character. Muhammad bin Tughlaq is the central character, and it is he around whom the other characters they revolve. So the other characters, they are closely related to Tughlaq in one way or the other. Ainul Mulk, he is a childhood friend. The stepmother and Nazib and Barani, they are all close associates of Tughlaq. Sheikh Imamuddin is against Tughlaq and he is revolting against the policies and the ideals and the dictates of Tughlaq. Even the crowd of citizens who are being introduced, they also are in some or the other way affected with the decisions of Tughlaq. So Tughlaq is the central character all through the play, and the play centers around his ideals from the beginnings. Then it moves on to his shrewdness, to the intrigues, to his mad actions, and at last a retrospect into the decisions of Tughlaq through the characters of Aziz and Azim. So the play, it deals with the ideals and with the failures of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. And as we always say that the title of the play, it should be apt, it should be suggestive. So Muhammad bin Tughlaq, it is a very apt and it is a very suggestive title for the play. Tughlaq is also considered a tragedy of intrigue. The setting is medieval and the action, it takes place in 14th century. So this was the time when the king was surrounded by various kinds of intrigues, and there were certain plottings and shrewd actions or the conniving plots that were being played upon the king or the persons in power. So in this play, there are three types of intrigue. The intrigues of the Sultan, who himself plays various kinds of plots or cunningness or shrewdness against his nobles and even against the royal family, which is indirectly being introduced right from the beginning, that Tughlaq, he had contrived or he had planned the murder of his brother and his father to acquire the throne. The second intrigue is by the trusted courtiers and nobles against the Sultan. And even the intrigues of the nobles against each other, as Ratan Singh, he planned or he contrived the plot against his own brother Shihabuddin. So Tughlaq, he comes to the throne through an intrigue against his father and brother, in which both of them they are killed. And this is the doubt, this is the confusion that is all through the play. Sheikh Imamuddin, he also exploits this episode in front of the people, and he calls him a disgrace to the throne because he is being guilty of murdering his own father and murdering his own brother. Sheikh Imamuddin, he goes on preaching against Sultan, and right from the beginning, the striking resemblance of Sheikh Imamuddin and Sultan is being highlighted. And the result is that Tughlaq, he first organizes a public meeting for Sheikh Imamuddin, and then he asks Sheikh Imamuddin to be dressed as the royal messenger, and he's sent to Ain al Mulk, who is marching towards Delhi against Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and the Sultan and his soldiers, they send Sheikh Imamuddin in the guise of Sultan, and he gets murdered. The trusted courtiers and nobles, they are also hatching a conspiracy or intrigue against each other. The stepmother, she is displeased with Nazib and gets him murdered. The Sultan, who has been so fond of stepmother, and stepmother who had been a close associate of Sultan, when he learns about Nazib's murder and the involvement of stepmother in the murder, he gets her arrested and she is to be stoned as an adulteress. Shihabuddin, who is a trusted friend and courtier, he was instigated and misguided by Ratan Singh, his adopted brother, to join the companies of Amirs, Sheikh, and Sayyids who are plotting against or who are conspiring against Sultan. They plan Sultan to be killed at prayer time when the entire palace it is unarmed. But in disguise, Ratan Singh, he works as a spy and sends the letter of Shihabuddin to Sultan, and he disappears from the scene. The entire process is masterminded by Sultan, and Shihabuddin is brutally murdered by Tughlaq. So Ratan Singh, who acts as a trusted associate or the brother of Shihabuddin, is actually intriguing or is conspiring or is plotting against his own brother. Then the very intrigues and counter intrigues are wonderfully and very effectively brought out through the characters of Aziz and Azam. All through their disguises, all through their cunningness, they are the ones who try to befool everyone in the play, including Tughlaq. Tughlaq is considered to be a historical play, and if we consider the treatment of history in the play, a historical play is always contradictory in nature because history, it requires truthful portrayal to the events of the past, but art, if it is a play, then art requires imagination and concentration and the interest in the writing of history. So, if we take up the portrayal of Tughlaq, Tughlaq ruled India in 14th century, and Karnad, he first read of Tughlaq in Ishwari Prasad. And when he read the character of Tughlaq, Girish Karnad himself says that he was so fascinated by the character of Muhammad bin Tughlaq that it actually served a material to him to write this great play. He considered Tughlaq as an extraordinary character to come to the throne of Delhi, who had idols, who was learned, but he was the biggest failure even after his scholarship or his learnings. When Kernot portrays Tughlaq, he regards Tughlaq as a great scholar, idealist, and visionary, which is portrayed by him. And he was a lover of fine arts, he was a cultured scholar, he was an accomplished poet. His learning of logic, astronomy, philosophy, mathematics, and physical sciences, and even his idealism are portrayed by Girish Karnad. Girish Karnad also follows the historical sources in the liberal policies, in portraying the liberal policies of Tughlaq. When in the initial or when in the first scene, Tughlaq is being portrayed as proclaiming Hindu Muslim unity and treating Hindu Muslims as equals. The historical evidence of shifting the capital from Delhi to Daulatabad and from Daulatabad to Delhi has been portrayed by Girish Karnad. But Girish Karnad describes it as a mass exodus. And in this mass exodus, this is not something which has been brought, as far as the scholars or the critics say, that this is a deviation from history. And the rebellion of Ain al Mulk and sending of Sheikh Imamuddin as his official envoy are also for the literary purpose. Their evidence is not found in history. Historical facts, they are actually being presented in the introduction of copper currency in place of silver dinars. And Tughlaq's policy of taxation, it is also being pointed out. Karnad also refers to famine and plague, which India suffered during Sultan's reign, and a number of calamities, both natural and man-made, they are pointed out by Girish Karnad. So Tughlaq, it actually derives its intentions, or the basic portrayal has been followed as the part of history. It is a historical play on the Sultan of Muhammad bin Tughlaq and the major policies of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, which had been ultimately a failure and which led historians or people in his time to call him Mad Tughlaq. Tughlaq is also considered a contemporary play. While writing Tughlaq, Girish Karnad himself, he was struck by the parallelism between the reign of Tughlaq and the contemporary history. Tughlaq was a powerful personality, and within a span of 20 years, the entire his entire idols and his entire rules, they were a failure. So the critics or the scholars or the readers, they related the disillusionment that set in the Tughlakan era to the mood of disillusionment and frustration to the Nehru era. And the play, when it was written in 1960s, at every stage, at every step, the play reflected the chaos, disillusionment, and corruption that followed the 5 year plans and the Nehru era. And this is one reason which is the most important for the popularity of the play, because the readers and the scholars, they related the play to the contemporary times. So, striking parallels they were drawn between the two ages, the Tughlakan and the Nehruvian one, and this makes Tughlaq a great political allegory. And it also tells of the shattering of idols after the death of Nehru and the frustration and corruption that followed. So various interpretations they have been made to realize or to highlight the parallelism between the rule of Tughlaq and the contemporary Nehruvian and post-Nehruvian times. The play deals with the reign of Tughlaq and events and incidents which originate from the paradoxical actions of Tughlaq and his opponents and the various intrigues. They are wonderfully organized into an artistic whole. So the devices of parallelism and contrast, they all are employed, and Tughlaq and his reign of the last 5 years of his rule that has been brought out in a very dramatic and effective way. So, Tughlaq and his reign, that is the plot of the play. There is a subplot, and the subplot it is provided as a dramatic relief to the tensions and to the seriousness of the play. And there are two wonderful characters who carry the subplot of the play, Aziz and Azam. These comic characters, or the characters who act as a dramatic relief, have many disguises, and all through their disguises, they provide fun, they provide humor, they provide dramatic relief, and they make the play interesting. But the subplot of Aziz and Azam is very ironical because it serves as a parody of the main plot, and the irony and satire portrayed through their characters and uh, means both of them benefiting or making profit or getting gains from each and every policy of Tughlaq is aimed at the flaws and the failures of Muhammad bin Tughlaq and his policies. So both of these characters, they are wonderfully being portrayed, and it is full of fun and ironic humor. And they always lessen the strain or the stress which is caused by the seriousness of the play. The portrayal of Aziz and Azam makes the main action of the play a parody, and it actually gives us a way to see the events of Tughlaq's life or his reign in a very comic light. So all the disguises of Aziz and Azam, they are very important to the main action of the play. Characterization is beautifully done, and each and every character they surround Tughlaq, and they are actually shown in relation to Tughlaq. So they are very economically drawn, and all through the play, they serve the purpose of highlighting the aspect of Tughlakan personality. Symbols, they have great emotional and associative significance, and they always enlarge the expressive range of language and theme. So all the great writers they use symbols in the play. Girish Karnad has used a number of symbols very effectively in Tughlaq. Tughlaq is considered to be a great political allegory, and the play is symbol of the political situation of India of the 60s. Prayer is considered in the play as a very significant symbol. So, religion, it has been used in the play for the dexterous and for the clever purpose of Tughlaq. It is it actually shows the danger of mixing religion and politics. That how a shrewd politician, he makes use of the religion for his own selfish ends. So the prayer in the play is diseased at the source of its beginning, and it's made compulsory, then it is stopped, and then it begins again with Ghiyasuddin. So, all through the play, political ambition, it runs parallel to the beginning and to the end of prayers, and then beginning it again. And it shows the mixing of religion and politics. The game of chess, which is shown in Tughlaq, and Tughlaq himself playing the game of chess, has a unique significance. In scene 2, Tughlaq is bent over a chessboard and he's smiling with suppressed excitement. And the insoluble problem has been solved by him. So he's been thinking about the rebellion of Ainul Milk, and he has thought of a solution how to get over or how to win over Ainul Milk. And even sacrificing Sheikh Imamuddin and winning over Sheikh Imamuddin also. So the chess symbol implies that Tughlaq, he manipulates his political rivals and opponents as pawns on the chessboard, and this chessboard in the larger canvas is the politics, is his pursuit of power which he is pursuing. Sleeplessness also is a major symbol that has been used in Tughlaq. All through the play, there are various intrigues that Tughlaq is thinking and the various conspiracies that he's surrounded with. And the various crime that he commits, that gives him sleeplessness. He is not able to sleep. So sleep, which comes as a relief to all, does not come to him. And it shows the inner turmoil, it shows the inner confusion, it shows the inner tormentation that runs all through Tughlaq's mind. There are the symbolic use of vultures and other birds of prey and python also in the play, because all these creatures, all these violent creatures, they all symbolize that Tughlaq, he does not have peace either by day or night. And all his noble ideals and all his aspirations, they are all frustrated. And by the end of the play, Tughlaq is in the state of spiritual agony. If we consider the language of Tughlaq, the words chosen are apt and they very well communicate the mood and the feelings of characters. The language is simple, it is communicative, and it is filled up with precision and decorum. The language used by Tughlaq communicates his ideals and his visionary temperament, while the language used by other characters, they reveal the traits of these characters. Thus, Tughlaq is considered to be a classic of Indian English drama, and plot, characters, setting, style, they all contribute to create the effectiveness of the play. It's a historical play, and Girish Karnad has judiciously mixed fact and fiction to produce the great effect of the play. It's a great classic of Indian English drama.